Allan Bernard in studio, our MP candidate for Northwest St. James. I remember the last time I spoke with Allan, and I called Allan a politician, and Allan correct me in terms of said, I don't like the terms used as it relates to politician, right? I prefer to be addressed as a political representative, right? So I am making sure that I get that out there and try to correct myself tonight in terms of not using that phrase politician to Allan. Allan is one of our astute candidate, MP candidate for the Northwest St. James, and Allan has been doing. Let me tell you something, people. Allan has been doing a lot of work in his constituency, and I'm amazed, right? And I'm saying, just imagine, Allan is not right in government, but yet he take on it to his shoulder, right? And he is leading, right? And this is what we're talking about. And I'm so right in terms of correcting me when he came on to the program some months ago in saying that he's not a politician, he's a political representation. And guess what? He lived through that, right? Living action. So it's not a bag of mouth, right? So tonight we have again the privilege of having with us in studio here Mr. Allan Bernard. Allan Bernard, thank you for passing through Mystic Sensation, sir. How are you?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was smiling because I did recall saying that, and I hope people who consider themselves politicians and take offense. I think I was trying to make a distinction about the importance of representation.
Exactly.
And if you hang on Rastafari long enough, and when I mention politicians, Rastafari, them say politicians.
Yes.
I don't want Rastafari see as politician, So
I'm
afraid, and talk about political representation. But thank you very much.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the conversation the last time we were here. Certainly this conversation is a little bit different. The context has changed somewhat. At that time, the local government elections were upon us, and we were engaged in that process. And this time around, we see now where it is a general election that is imminent, and we're looking to engage that process as well. So, the first conversation, exciting, I enjoyed, and I expect to have, similar kind of sentiments when we finish this discussion today. Excellent. Right. So I was saying I am the MP candidate for the People's National Party in Northwest St. James, and I'm also the chair of that constituency. Now, I also chair a division in the constituency, so I kind of at a political level in the constituency, I hold those two positions as chair of the constituency. I'm also chair of the Montego Bay Northeast Division, which is the flanker division. And some of your listeners would have known that I would have contested the local government elections last on that ticket. I'm also the Deputy Shadow Cabinet Spokesperson on social transformation and social protection, which is a portfolio that cuts across other portfolios. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. Yes. I again, as a member of the People's National Party, I also sit on the Policy and Vision Commission and on the National Executive Council and the Regional Executive Council. And again, all of those are just internal party positions that really put in a position to help to shape the political machinery, both at the national and the constituency and the regional levels. In the most recent elections, the local government elections, I was one of the debaters for the People's National Party in the national debates. So, some of those functions, again, would have been given to you based on the competencies that the party would consider you have, and the way in which you would be able to represent. And those debates, based on all the commentary, I would say would have safely won the local government debates. and subsequently local government elections. So I want to say I would have contributed to that victory through debates if I can take that privilege. But that's the political office that I hold and the function that I would perform for the People's National Party. Beyond that, in a professional capacity, I am an associate researcher at the University of the West Indies in the Center for Entrepreneurship Thinking and Practice. I'm also an adjunct lecturer in the Department of Sociology. And the University of the West Indies, Mona campus, is where I would say I would spend most of my adult professional life engaging in the academic space for years. I also ventured for 10 years into the work of development agencies, work for a number of international donor partners, devising, developing their development strategies for Jamaica. A big part of that would have to do with how it is that we develop citizen security programming, across the entire of Jamaica. Justice, juvenile justice, for example, but justice programming, justice sector reforms, and broad community and youth development programs. So as a practitioner, prior to entering into the political space, I would have spent a lot of time working with many donor partners, ministries, agencies, departments, civil society organizations, just really thinking through planning and implementing programs to develop the space and advance people. So pretty much that's my professional life. But if you ask me why I'm, the first thing I want to tell you is that I'm a good youth, that's it.
All right. All right. Okay, so let us get into the meat of the matter, Brother Allan, because I know that people want to, hear what you have to say. So my first question to you, can you enlighten us as it relates to the overall vision and policy position for the country?
I think in responding to that, I would want to just really locate that conversation in my engagements as a member of the People's National Party, the Policy and Vision Commission. And that vision, policy, and that commission was tasked with really carving out that overarching, if you want to call it, philosophy of the party. And what would have come out of those deliberations 2 years ago was a document entitled Where We Stand. And this Where We Stand document, it's quite comprehensive, but we would have put together a very smaller version to capture in a very succinct way, what the PNP is about going forward. And again, you can't go forward looking at where we're coming from and understanding that rich history and that rich philosophy that we would have carried from 1938 until this point. And that document Where We Stand really captured the essence of who we are. And a lot of times you would hear in the public domain people saying that, and for good reasons too. They'll say, PNP and the JLP not different, the same thing. And that's easy to say. And that's easy to say if you're, very tribal in your thinking. But if you stand back a little bit more and you look closer, you can see the difference, and I'd encourage you. I'll send you a copy of that document, but I'll encourage you and encourage all our viewers and subscribers to take a look at that Where We Stand document. And that Where We Stand document really sets us apart. And the essence of the Where We Stand document really was captured in the party leaders' presentation at this conference. It's an appreciation pretty much of the overarching concerns of the Jamaican people and the Jamaican population as it relates to the quality of life that the Jamaican people are experiencing and the opportunities for them to improve that quality of life. When you look at, what we stand for, it is anchored in that understanding. It's really looking at and it's really understanding that people have concerns about the quality of the life that they're experiencing and where are the opportunities to improve that quality of life that they are now experiencing. The party leader, again, captures it in his presentation at the national conference. And what he articulates is really how the PNP would govern when we become the next government. And all of this he would have captured in advancing the word change, which is really, transformation. The PNP intends to transform, the state affairs that we are now undergoing. And he consistently reinforces the word change. In that change, he added, people time come. What does this say in terms of how it differentiates us from the Jamaica Labour Party? Is what it is that everybody applauded him for at the end of the day. I have heard no comment to the contrary. It addresses his speech at the time, addresses the question of who the system of government will work for under the People's National Party. And it creates a space, therefore, for those people to have a say. Essentially, therefore, we're talking about putting back people at the center of their affairs. And I can point to a number of examples. I carried this argument, in fact, during the local government debates. The absence of people from the center of our affairs give us what we have now. And what we have now, a system or a leadership that is extremely arrogant, to the point of, one might argue, disrespectful, quite abrasive, with embracing everything that challenges the essence of our democracy. And that's because people are not placed at the center of our processes. And if you listen to that presentation the party leader made, that was crucial. If you read and explore the Where We Stand document, which captures what the PNP is and what the PNP stands for going into the deeper into the 21st century, you will get that. Our GenSec highlights a couple of succinct bullet points to capture what we are and what makes we different. And I'll just read them verbatim from what he said. And it's that the PNP believes in egalitarianism, and that is really equity in access to opportunity. That is something that will come out in our policies when you see them. Social justice. And there are very broad definitions of social justice. But I'll give you a very simple definition for the purposes of not trying to complicate the conversation. But social justice is really doing the thing simply because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
It's not that difficult, it's not that difficult. And when I look at what is happening now surrounding these discussions about the Prime Minister and his issues with the Integrity Commission, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that some of these things are simply the right things to do. It doesn't care how you want to tie them up in legalities or tie them up in procedures. It just doesn't make no sense that you can be doing all these things so blatantly and think it's okay. That's not social justice. Social justice is simply doing things because it's the right thing to do. What was littered across the party leader presentation and in everything that the PNP stands for is we have to go back to a position where we uphold the highest principles of integrity, critical, principles of nationalism, meaning putting the interests of our nation first. And I talked to you about participatory governance. That is crucial to how the PNP will govern going forward. And again, quoting our GenSec, we're talking about participatory governance. We're talking about we involve the people. We're talking about consensus from consultations. We're talking about dialogue, not monologue. We're talking about engaging the people, not enraging the people. And when you look at how this present government operates, you have to wonder if them really adhering to or really have any regard for any of these principles. It's like every time one member from that side opens his or her mouth, either in Parliament or anywhere else, is just enraging people. And it just don't make any sense. And I'm confident that the people, the voting public, Jamaican in general, home and abroad, seeing this, and just like every one of us, you, me, is this real? Are these people real? Like my little daughter, seriously, you can say these things in all seriousness and think, we're not going to be enraged. That's the kind of PNP you will see that makes us different. It doesn't take any genius to say, them guys here is different from those guys over there. And that is the foundation of that where we stand document. And I'm happy that you asked that question, because I want people to know that, it's easy to say, oh, they're no different. Look at us. Look at our actions. Look at our pronouncements. I dare say, look at our representatives. We are different.
Yes.
And you will see that coming out in the policies of the next People's National Party government.
All right. Wonderfully said, Allan. And I really love that. And I love how you speak as it relates to the difference. And I'm going to take two items from that to speak about access to opportunity, which is very, very much vital and very much important, because we are not seeing access to opportunity as it relates to the incumbent government. We are not seeing that. And the next thing that you have highlighted there as it relates to the PNP mandate, and I'm glad that you spoke on that, social justice. Social justice. And there you go, in terms of highlighting the differences where that is concerned. Now, Brother Allan, my next question for you, right? For both an organizational perspective and a development basis, please speak on some of the work done in your constituency.
Yeah. Listen, you would have said a lot earlier, and I don't know if I want to add much, but I will just say some things in context. It's amazing the amount of work that needs to be done. And I will say what's even more amazing is how easy it can get done if you have political power, but it's still not being done. Now, here you have an incumbent, almost 25 years in a constituency, and some basic things, have not been done. But let me get to that later on. Let me speak to what I am doing from a political organizational standpoint. We have a constituency in Northwest St. James that has not had any substantial People's National Party representative at the level of a member of parliament, like I said, for almost 25 years. And that, you can imagine, would have done tremendous damage to a political machinery for the People's National Party. And so over the past, let me say 2 to 3 years, I have been investing a lot of time building back that political machinery for the People's National Party in Northwest St. James. What does that mean? It means that we are now putting back in place a solid workers group team to ensure that the work for the People's National Party is being done, both the political work and the outreach work. We have been doing a lot of canvassing to ensure that we understand the needs of the people in the constituency, and we also get the opportunity to speak with the people and encourage the people to support a PNP candidate as well as a PNP mandate if they are interested in the development of the constituency. In all of that, you'd find in Northwest St. James now that all 4 divisions now have functioning executives. At a point, we didn't have that. All 4 divisions have functioning executive. All 4 divisions have developed work programs for carrying out the People's National Party work in the constituency. All 4 divisions have now developed their outreach programs so they can support the work that the People's National Party is doing, but also contribute to the development of the wider community. So politically, we are we are rebuilding the machinery. We have heightened our voter engagement. We have started to do a lot of political mobilization organization from the level of PD straight up to cluster and division. And we're also now going to be rolling out a number of engagement vis-a-vis political education. In all of this, we are looking to strengthen our youth organizations and our women movement in the constituencies. And that's the political organization work that is being done. It is going well. Are we where we want to be? Not yet. Are we getting there? Certainly. Will we be there in time for the next election? Absolutely. We are working hard to ensure that a machine is in place. So whenever time that date is named, we are ready to contest and to compete and to win. So we are doing that work. The other side of the work now, as you mentioned, the development side, we are doing a lot of engagement, a lot of outreach. Earlier, I would have mentioned occupying a substantive deputy shadow cabinet spokesperson position, which is about social transformation and social protection. A lot of what we are doing now in terms of the outreach is to realize that mandate. And one of the areas, or two areas that we are focused on, if we are going to be looking at transformation, we are keen on developing early childhood. You would have, I mean, all of we hear about the issues that we're having now at the secondary level, with passes not as good as they used to be, with the discipline and the behavioral challenges. Transformation is crucial. It takes time, and we have to fix the root. The literature, the research, the study, the evidence is there to suggest that if you want to correct and fix these things over the long haul, you have to fix it from the root, man. You have to fix early childhood. You have to ensure that you have an early childhood system that provides the foundation upon which that youngster will now engage in primary and secondary and beyond. And so a part of my transformation mandate, and I'm starting in my constituency, is to work closely with these early childhood institutions, the basic schools, the infant schools, the creches, to work with them and to get them in a situation where they have resources, they have the guidance, the competencies to really and truly nurture that child. A big part of this transformation, as we all know, comes with family. And when I talk about family, I talk about parents. You'll find, and again, the evidence is there, it's not me that come find this out. When the child is younger, at 0 to 6 age, the parent is more engaged. They don't leave them, they carry them to school and pick them up, them at sports day, them involved in the youngster life. As the child grows up, let us hold certain things constant, you find the parents' involvement diminishes. We have to now start to build that relationship, concretize that relationship, so when the child goes into the primary situation, it remains intact. So a big part of that transformation is coming at that early stage by engaging with the institution themselves, but also engaging with the parents. So early childhood, for my intents and purposes in the constituency, is key for transformation. The other part of transformation that we're looking at is really how we treat with the welfare issues that confront some of the most vulnerable in our society. I don't remember who I read this quote from, but there's a quote that I would have seen multiple times. And it says, the measure of a real civilized and developed country is how them treat them seniors, them elders, those who would have forged the path for them. And so one of the plans that we are working on in transformation is how we address the needs of that most vulnerable population, which are seniors. They still have a lot to contribute. They would have contributed a lot for us to be here. They still have more to contribute. And I don't know how much of literature you're familiar with about the silver economy. We have an aging population, and we have to look at ways now to meet the needs of that population. Again, for them to continue to be productive, but also to ensure that they pay the homage to where homage is due. These are the ones that blaze the trail for us. So we're looking at programs, again, to ensure that, for example, the state resources that are there in the Social Security Ministry, they have access to those state resources. I can tell you some horror stories. You might even know them yourself, about how accessing resources that belong to you becomes like the hardest thing to do, because you make it so hard because other people want to say it is them doing it for you. No, that is yours. That is your hard-earned taxpayers' dollars. You have to make that process a lot more simple for those who are most in need to access it. And so we're looking at how to work with our seniors and to work with the groups that are working with our seniors, particularly the church community. Again, I have been a part of this Jamaican society for years, and I hear people talk a whole heap of things about church. And I'll be the first to tell you, say, rubbish. The work that the church does, you and I, now I'm going to do it. Tell you that. The church, the serious work, especially when it comes down to the most vulnerable among us, we have to empower that group to continue Give them the tools, because sometimes the church don't even know how to navigate the system, but they will. If they know, they will do it on behalf of this vulnerable population. So a big part of that transformation that we want to see is to see that engagement with organizations, civil society organizations generally, but the church in particular, to help us to address the issue of this most vulnerable population, which are seniors. So a big part of what I'm doing now is to organize those engagements and to get those engagements to begin to bear fruit. So again, early childhood, seniors. And then you have in the middle that, we always look at and talk about youth. And, they talk about unattached and at risk. Let me just call them youth, because the whole of it unattached and the whole of at risk of something. So I don't want to go into that esoteric discussion on who's unattached and who's at risk. But youth is an important population that needs to be factored into this transformation process. And so we begin to start now to develop strategies to engage them. And I'll speak to that some more later when I tell you about the plans going forward. But those are some of the work that we are doing in terms of the outreach, and the outreach part of the advocacy. But you also have tangible things that you can do. Those what we call low-hanging fruits. The need is there. The demand is there as well. So we do a lot of things to support our children back to school. You would have seen some of those. I would have shared some of those with you. That support is well needed. We facilitate a lot of welfare activities. We facilitate a lot of social and sporting engagements. Those things are there. At the higher level of the work that is done, we'll be in the media providing advocacy around issues that ought to be of relevance, ought to be engaging. For example, the Spark program about fixing roads. I know a prerequisite of being a part of the Spark program is to engage community. Not one engagement was done in Northwest St. James. And when I asked about it, people are behaving as if I shouldn't ask. It's not me asking. That's the mandate. The Spark program is a program that is done in consultation with the community, which is the key stakeholder. You don't just come and decide. But that is how the constituency has been run for the past 25 years. It's a one-upmanship. It's a government badness kind of thing, if you use the popular cultural parlance. So you just come here and do it. And the people have grown so accustomed to this that they will say, okay, that's how it goes. So everybody now is just passive recipient. Nobody's actively participating in the process. And sometimes they choose not to participate because they don't see it as going to go anywhere. It's not going to impact anything. So again, you have these representatives now left with a free hand to do whatever they want to do. And most times, as I said, what makes them different from us is that these things are not done equitably. There's no egalitarianism in it. There's no social justice in it. There's no integrity in the process. And that's what make us different from them. That is what you will see coming out in our policies. So, I'll put out statements about those. Most recently, you and I and others would have a conversation about how it is that we can assist in the aftermath of a very, deleterious natural disaster. And a lot of the people in the diaspora couldn't because it was a difficult. Now the government of the day had a reprieve in terms of they said they will hold back on charging import duties on things that are coming in. When they make the announcement and the deadline was a week. So nobody had any time to prepare. And I asked them to extend it. They didn't extend it. And so I don't know how much of what could have come in to assist didn't come in because in the time that was allowed to do so. But there has been a lot of advocacy on our end in the constituents to do that. Going forward, though, as I said earlier, a big part of what the PNP stands for, or what you will see coming out in People's National Party's policy, is a lot more participation from citizens in the process. Participatory governance is crucial to us. We involve people. We strive for consensus through consultation. We strive for more dialogue, not monologue. And we engage people. We don't enrage people. That is what makes us different from the other parties.
Well said, Allan. Well said. And you know what? I like how you identify all the social breakdown. And then, of course, how you articulate your political diagnosis. And then you come with a prognosis. That is really wonderful in terms of that. And this is what we are talking about, representation. right? When you have persons who are knowledgeable of their function, right? Person who can ID the problems that plague our society, particularly for protracted period, right? And you have someone now who is vibrant, like an Alan Bernard, who can identify the issues, right? As I said, the political diagnosis, and of course, come with the prognosis. This is what we want. This is what we're talking about, right? As it relates to the representational politics that we want. No bugger promise and no delivery,
No.
right? You spoke earlier, Allan, as it relates to plan going forward. Right? You want to extend on that?
So again, we have been, again, from day one, we have been engaging
Yes.
with people. And I like what you say, you know, Answer Brian. We're not here to promise people, and I've said this from day one. I am here to sit with you, have a conversation with you about what the issues are. I like a term, diagnose, the medical term. I go use it going forward. But
All right.
sit with you,
Yes.
talk about what the issues are, and together work out possible solutions. But not only leave that, go out or implement them together. What I know from being a development practitioner and working with evidence-based programming, and you plan and implement, you monitor and evaluate, etc. We go sit down and we go discuss.
Yes.
We go plan and we go implement. Certainly, and everything you implement go work. But what's the beauty about that? You go learn some things from it. I will go take those lessons and go at it again until we get it. That is what I am bringing forward. That's not a promise. That's not a promise, because that is you and I sitting, discussing, engaging, working together, learning together, and come up with a solution together. I know I like that approach, because you don't have to walk around and say, "Oh, Allan make that." No, I never Allan make it done. It was you and I. You're a part of it, and I think. Yeah, man. When I was growing up in Flanker, I tell my brethren them, say, "Richard, me don't want nobody to walk back at me, you know. One bagger man to walk back at me. We are brethren, man. We are friend, man. The man if they beside me." Exactly. That's the approach. The approach is that these kind of leaders know they want to be God. If you want a better word,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it was you. No, that's your job. You're being paid to do that. No, you get paid as an MP, as a councillor, and you get paid. So go do your job. But you want to be people walk around praise you and say you would do it. No, that is your job. And I'm saying, if you and I work together, get it done, I would prefer if you say, "Yeah, man, I was a part of that," than to say, "Allan, get it done." No, yes. We get it done. Certainly, me play my role and you play yours. But exactly. I just want to say that it's a philosophical position of mine. And in going forward in the plans for the constituency, the primary, and I'll reiterate this because it's so important, is participatory democracy. Yes. At the level of communities, citizens have to participate in the process. Not only do they take ownership of it, they have valuable insights that you might not have. So I grew up in Northwest St. James, but I grew up particularly in Flanker. And I can tell that the dynamics in Flanker is different from the dynamics in Norwood. The dynamics in Norwood different from Glendevon and Salt Spring. So how can I go to Norwood, Glendevon, and Salt Spring and not engage to understand those nuances, to come up with a plan that works? I can't take my Flanker experience singularly and think that go fix Norwood problems. No, it doesn't work like that. Certainly, I might have some precedents from Flanker that I want to apply and see it work. But again, that has to do with engagement. One of the important positions that I have seen emerging for myself in terms of serious address is the role of the Social Development Commission. And this might be problematic because I'm not here chastising the Social Development Commission. I'm here saying that the Social Development Commission's mandate has been hijacked, and it has been hijacked in such a way that it shifts the organization from carrying out the work that it needs to carry out, which is mobilizing community and get community involved. That is something that has to be addressed. If we are interested in participatory democracy, the organization at the level of the community with that responsibility has to work. It has to work based on its mandate. It can't be an organization that is used by politicians our political representatives to carry out its will. That has undermined the effectiveness of that noble organization. That is something that I have seen that warrants me paying close attention to its functioning or addressing some of the issues with its functioning. Critical. There are certain legislative issues, statutory issues that needs to be addressed that can be addressed when you're in power. And I think that addressing those issues will help to strengthen that organization and rid it of the issues that cause it not to carry out its mandate. So right off the bat, going forward, if we're going to be addressing the issue of participatory governance at its core, getting people involved, getting them back in the center, if we have an organization that has such a mandate, then that organization needs to carry out that mandate. And that is paramount at the forefront in my vision.
Okay.
How to get the Social Development Commission to work as it was intended. That is crucial.
Yeah.
Another big ticket item that has come out, again, this is from my high-level scanning, just cursory high-level scanning, but deep knowledge of positive youth engagement. The absence of positive youth engagement space. Again, these spaces have been hijacked by so many different nefarious elements. Mm-hmm. You know, if you look around Northwest St. James, maybe I probably might send an article written by one of my friend, Yannick Pessoa. The major footballing facilities, they are just non-existent. Albion Playfield, that was once the most active playfield in the parish, right beside the Social Development Commission, is bush. Wow. In Prilos, a field that was once a premier sporting facility in St. James, football field, basketball, it just there run down for years. I can say maybe 20 years now, it has not been used for anything at all. And it's right there. You know, the field in Salt Spring, the field up in at Montego Hills, right at Montegoville. You know, right now, that field is being used to dump things on. I'm eagerly awaiting what these contractors who are fixing the road and has used take the community football field to store them equipment and so on, what they will do when that project comes to an end, because they can't leave the community field like that. They'll fix it and give it back to the community. But nobody pays attention to these things. UDC feel that even though it has been used now, since the hurricane, a tree fall and drop down in the goalpost and mashed up again, the UDC playfield is the most utilized playfield in St. James for community sports. So that those positive youth engagement spaces are no longer around. Sports is just one. You would recall at a point, youth clubs were popular. You know, creative and cultural clubs were popular. These are no longer. The police youth club are still hanging on for dear life, but they too want sustenance. So there's no positive youth engagement in any coordinated way. I am of the view that if we really think youth are the future, our youth is now, we have to stop paying lip service and start with some real things. I'm looking around and, you know, you don't have much coordination of activities, of engagement. You know, we have a ministry of youth. I am not sure what its role is. And I am waiting for somebody now to go in and do a real audit of that ministry to see if it's still serving its function, if it has any useful function in the way it's constituted now. That is something I am keen, very keen on. Across Northwest and Northwest St. James, if you know Montego Bay, a lot of it is city. You know, it's town. It's not country.
Yes.
And can I tell you that sections of Flanker, sections of Norwood, sections of Glendevon, sections of Salt Spring still don't have water, reliable water?
Wow.
You can imagine that?
Wow, that's
And this, we are talking about developed space. If you look at generic definitions of development, the infrastructure that is there would not do anything else but city life without water. You know, this is crazy. Crazy. How can we not be paying attention to this? How can we? And we know it because it's no secret. It's no secret. If you listen to the people in the community, they'll tell you, they'll give you some, and I'm going to use this now loosely, some conspiracy theories around why it is that no water is in the community. That might surf it, put money in somebody's pocket for truck water. Not going to evidence. But you can't have a space like Northwest St. James. You know what in Northwest St. James, and all these communities are there They are not new communities, and you don't have water.
It seems like you're addressing the Portland syndrome. Don't mind me, just go ahead.
Basic infrastructure like water, I mean, road conditions, terrible. I am waiting to see when the Spark program going to spark. I don't see any sparking taking place, and I'm, I kind of stay away from this whole video thing and go up on social media and cuss the member of parliament. So that's some way I don't think it's healthy.
Yes.
And but not having dialogue on it. Him not coming to the people, him not do whatever I want to do. Because fee in place. Probably it is, I don't know. But make we see come next election. The point is that is the kind of thing that mash up, the infrastructure. Nobody communicate about anything. You don't know what is happening and just run down. No advocacy around it because people are not in the center. So those things need to be addressed. And you have to do better with the roads, ensure that we have the water. Other infrastructural plans are key for the community, like a community like Norwood. Norwood is one of the biggest single community in Jamaica. Not one primary school. The primary schools that support Norwood are bursting through the seams.
Wow.
I mean, that's what I said too. How can Norwood not have a primary school? I was complaining bitterly about Norwood not having a health center. And then I saw an announcement that a health center is coming. Just like in Flank, I was complaining about them locked down the post office and nobody say anything at all, and we start make representation. And right before local government, them come build a little post office, made still. But that them work. Them not interested in putting in the development because it's needed, but putting in the development because they think they can use it to leverage something else. It can't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. I tell about the infrastructure already. Now, best playing field is now a military post.
Exactly.
I have serious concerns with that. That was the community's play field, and the youth them sit down and look across an army and them play field, and them can't play no ball. There are so many issues that concern infrastructure development. I know the JDF of a civil engineering unit. That civil engineering unit is one of the best in the world. We're just going to here to help them. And the best in the region, put it that way. We're very skillful. Yes. But if you wanted to get a place to house the military because they're a part of your crime prevention strategy, them could easily find a piece of land, clear it, and put whatever put there just as central as they do with the people them feel. And the people them talk about it. Nobody listens. These things have to be addressed going forward. I am not here saying that upon becoming member of parliament of Norwood St. James, I'm going to tell the military to move out. I'm not saying that. I am saying that upon becoming member of parliament of Norwood St. James, we are going to have dialogue about where that military base should be placed. Exactly. And all I know is it should not be placed on the playing field. We need our playing fields.
Agreed.
We need our playing fields. It's crazy. So those are some of the apparent tangibles. But broader, in terms of the economy, is a concern. The economy is a concern. I don't have to tell you about all the narrative about how well we are doing at the macroeconomic level, how we have paid down the debt, which is good, how we're controlling inflation, I think that run away now, how we control the dollar, that run away now too. But what have been said is that we are in a better position now than we were prior to the last 8 years of government. But that has not been felt at the level of the community. And that's simply because there's no broadening of the economic base at the level of the community. We have been in dialogue with a lot of people who understands the economy way better than I do, and to say, how can we broaden the base of the economy at the level of the community? And in Northwest St. James, it is very, very real, very practical, not going to say very easy to implement, but it is a very interested and strategic process of getting that done without massive interruption. Here are my ideas. Tourism is crucial. If we put in the basic prerequisite of making the place safe, we can broaden the economic base to get the tourism dollar to spread a lot further in the community. we can spend an entire session and talk about what that means. But what it means is that all the enterprises that are either there or the opportunities to establish new enterprise at the level of community, those can be undertaken without much capital investment. It's just proper planning, strategic partnership and alliances. And again, the basic purpose, I feel, is to ensure that the place is safe, which is not a difficult thing to do if you engage with the people. A militarization of the space is not going to make the place safe. It's going to make the place full of military and security personnel, which doesn't necessarily mean you feel safe. So broadening the base of the economy, community tourism is crucial. Agriculture. I can tell you because I consider myself a farmer. I'm into farming. I have 2 farms and we do a lot of farming, animal and crops. And when we talk to youth in urban spaces, because one of the farms in the urban space is in Rockfort, which is a very urban space. One of the most prosperous, thriving farm is in Rockfort, Rock Springs Farm. And when I engage youth in the urban space about this enterprise of farming, them ready. The environment is just not enabling. It's not enabling. You know, my colleague Damon Crawford, as you know, is leading goat farmer in Jamaica. And when he went to Portland and he put forward a plan, if that plan was implemented then, everybody who would have taken up that plan would have had a very, very healthy herd of goat right now, pulling in big bucks if they are taken on. But that absence of a vision and that absence of making an environment enabling to farming, you know, is holding back that vision. But again, under PNP government, that is going forward. The gensec of the party is now the spokesperson on agriculture, and he is gung-ho on transforming the economy through agriculture. Not through announcements and pronouncements, but going out there and do it. And there are so many of us within the PNP who are actually practitioners in this era. So we're not only talking the talk and tell you, we're doing it ourselves. But broadening the local economic base through farming is crucial. The third element of broadening the economic base is through the creative and cultural economy. Our party leader, in his budget presentations this year and the year before, specifically mentioned his interests in the creative and the cultural industries and the wealth that this industry can generate. And so we have a spokesperson who is looking at that directly. Well, 2 spokespersons, I will say. We have a spokesperson looking at the creatives, and we also have a spokesperson looking at innovation. And innovation can come through, a lot of innovation is possible through a real, serious, concerted, and determined focus on what is possible with the creative and cultural industry. And I want to just add something else to that. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because it will evoke a whole heap of sentiments that, you know, we might want to have more answers to that I can provide now. Yeah. But ganja, the way in which we are treating with the ganja product now still does not afford much, if any, to those who really would have given their life to this industry. You know, my colleagues will tell you that talking about ganja as if medical marijuana is the only way to go is utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. There's so much more we can do for that industry that can help to broaden the local economic base and generate wealth at the level of community, not at the level of big pharmaceuticals. You know, that's the problem. That's the problem we're having. But I want to put that on when I talk about the creatives. And as always, in all of this, you know, we have to look at information technology and how we use that as well. Okay, know a lot of opportunities are there as well. But just want to stop there because I know I've been saying a lot and you might want to give your listeners an opportunity to chime in on some of the things I've said. But those are my thoughts and my plans going forward. Certainly, a lot of these, we have to, shape them up nicely, package them better, come with a lot more in terms of how they are going to happen and the space we'll create for those to happen. But that will come in time. But again, we are thinking through all of these issues to ensure that people are central to the democratic process, to ensure that the process reflects a philosophy of the PNP that makes us respond to improvements in people's quality of lives and give them opportunity to do that. And we are looking keenly and building out an economic base where everybody can benefit from it.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I want to ask you a question where, because many of our Jamaican people, right, are suffering as it relates to the high cost of energy, electricity bill, right? A lot of people are complaining as it relates to the high cost. Do you have any plans as it relates to moving towards a solar efficient society?
All right. So I don't have a personal plan per se, but in looking at everything that we will be doing, climate smart approaches are crucial. And a big part of climate smart is how we use clean energy. For example, I tell you about my farms. One of the things that we put in place, a biodigester, because we produce pigs waste convert into methane. We use it's on the hillside with plenty sun, so we plug into the sun. So it's a solar facility. We have access to a spring, so we utilize the water from the spring. Again, clean energy. The approach to solar now is quite fashionable. Access is fashionable. I think it can be argued that it's becoming more affordable. So we try to encourage and promote that. But from a policy perspective, I can say to you, without giving you details, that the People's National Party is developing, will have a solid policy that addresses clean energy. How do we reduce this oil bill that places pressure on every other sector? But for us in Northwest personally, we are carrying a mandate of climate smart. When you talk about climate smart, you talk about clean energy. Talk about clean energy, you talk about tapping into the sun, obviously. Just because you mentioned it now, in Norwood, we are working to start what we call turf football is very popular now because a lot of the youngsters work in the days, so they play football in the night. I would call it turf football. I would do anything on the street, and they have asked for solar light. You see that? Even the youngster on the street is thinking about it. All we have to do is enable them. That's it. They ask solar light specifically for solar light. And the only reason for that, is because light bill too expensive. So they know that we have found an alternative way. Solar is the alternative. So we're working on the lights for those youngsters in Norwood so they can play them street football in the night because they have to work in the days.
All right. Well said, Allan. What I want to do, I want to give the chat, right, at least 5 or 10 minutes, right? Anyone in the chat who want to ask questions to, right? Of course, the MP candidate for Northwest St. James, Allan Bernard, right? Quite articulate, right? And trust me, very active in his constituency, doing a lot of work in his constituency. So I'm allowing the chat for any persons who want to call in, or persons who want to type into the chat any questions that they have for Allan. Allan is right here with us. So any issues that you feel that Allan didn't touch on and you want to ask questions on those issues, right? We are giving you the time to ask Allan since he's here with us, right? So we can participate in that, right? Anyone who is calling in, right? Or so forth.
The number is streaming across the screen, and I just put it in the chat as well.
Okay.
If anybody wants to
There's a number streaming across the screen there. So anyone who want to call in, right, and chit chat with Allan within for 10 minutes, then we're good to go. All right. Thank you, Larry, for that. Yes, bring the likes, people, right? So anyone going there?
We have 4 minutes, Baron. I have a quick stop at 8:30. So we have 4
All right,
minutes.
4 minutes. 4 minutes.
Okay, and I can see the heat is on now. The fan is off. I can see your sweating.
All right, 4 minutes. Right. So.
Okay, there's a question in the chat.
Okay. I like the question. There's a question, Allan. What are the plans for mentorship programs for the youth?
I think, you see, this is a great question to pose to me, simply because we have never stopped mentoring.
Yes.
It's a tradition I come up in, and this is why I'm so keen on SDC. You see, when I grew up as a youngster in Montego Bay, SDC was the organization that provided me with the opportunity to be mentored and to become a mentor. My finance person now on my campaign, Mr. Floyd Itchman, was actually the youth leader president in St. James when I was a part of his cabinet. It gave us an opportunity to become mentors and mentor others. And I grew up in that tradition. Now, coming up in that tradition, I would definitely have to pay it forward. And so we have developed programs upon programs upon programs within St. James, in Flanker in particular. In Norwood, we have a program going on there as well with Hands and Heart Foundations. We have another program going on there with Miss Jenny Corner Shop Homework School in Norwood, Flanker Resort Center. We have a program happening there, and we're looking to expand that. We work in many primary and junior high schools across the length and breadth of the constituency. And every time we go in, we try to develop those programs with past students. We try to develop those programs with parents. We try to develop those programs just with well-wishers of the schools. So a mentoring program is critical. And I'm happy that you mentioned that, because a lot of people don't understand how important it is to have a mentor to help you work through some of those issues that you can't work through. So a mentoring program is central to any positive youth engagement. We mentor them through sports. We mentor them through music and the performance arts. We mentor them through entrepreneurship. And it's critical that we continue with those programs. So yes, we have plans for those. Not only do we have plans for those, we have active programs in terms of mentoring that is going on right now as we speak.
Okay. All right. We have one more question. We have a caller for you. Yes, caller, you're live on Mystic Sensation Show. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good night. I'm again.
Yes, Sister P.
And my hours are now still enough. But Mr. Allan, I'm a pig farmer, a small one. I'm very take where me pig them. So more you tell me if you what kind of pig you have, more than 2 pigs for buy. So Mystic can give me number. Mystic, me I call later. Can me
okay.
One for some people for Isaac, but I'm not the hour right now.
All right.
Mr. Allan, serious, me know it's me pig them in a barrel.
All right, so I can hardly hear the caller, but I hear she's a pig farmer.
If you have the white one, the money is direct. I have more for buy.
Where's your farm? Where's your farm?
Where's your farm?
Where's my no? Me don't really have the farm yard. We grow them.
Where's your one? Center.
That will be the only issue I have. To be very honest with you, that'll be the only issue I have to get to St. Anne. But again, I am very keen on farming, and we have pigs, we have goats, we have sheep, we have cow, animal farm. But to get to St. Anne, we try. But what I'll ask you though, is just share the number and we can talk. I can't promise you that we'll get to St. Anne, but I can talk to you and make some arrangements.
I will come and pick it up.
So she can come and get it.
She can come and get it.
Okay, great. Okay, well, let's share the number. Share the number.
So Pat,
let me number.
We will do it off the air because we don't want. Let's do it. Let's do it off the air, Pat.
Right.
All right. All right. So, Brother Allan, you understand? Thanks for being here. I'm not going to hold you any longer because you said 4 minutes, so I'm going to live in the aspect of that.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Wonderful again, right, to being here and how you articulate the issues, right? And I mean, the people love you in the chat, right? You can see all the good comments that are there, right? And we, of course, open for you to visit us again,
Yeah.
right? Brother Allan, before you go, right, we know that, of course, you want the people to galvanize and vote for you, right? Just give them 2 fundamental reasons to vote for you before you go.
I think I will just repeat what the party leader said at our conference.
Yes.
People time come. People time come. Time to put people back in the center of our politics.
Yes.
Vote for the change. Let's vote for the change. Vote for the change.
All right. Thank you, Allan. Big up yourself, my boss.
Thanks a lot for that.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
All right. So there you go. Was